My name is Aaron Trumino. I'm a sixth-year senior. I'm a graduate student pursuing my master's in social work, and I am on the football team.
As we see graduate Aaron Trumino here get up and make this play. Dropped in the backfield. Play started by Aaron Trumino.
So I first started playing organized football at the age of 8 or 9. Probably when I was about 4 or 5 years old, I got my first Bob the Builder football, actually, a little kind of soft plush football. And from there on out, it was just, kind of tossing the football around to myself in the backyard. Just kind of little things like that. Really there was just something about football that I knew I wanted to be a football player.
Aaron's dream to play football at the next level was fulfilled largely due to the help from a family member.
So when I was in high school getting recruited, I really only had like Division III offers on the table. Didn't look like I was going to be a Division I prospect. And so Division II, it was a challenge for myself. I knew that I could go and play Division III football and probably be pretty successful, right away. But I wanted the challenge of Division II.
He went on his recruiting visits, and I had the pleasure of hosting him and showing him around Bloomsburg, what the school had to offer. Coach Hennikel, he was an easy selling point. I feel like I got my master's in football playing under that guy. So it was easy to get Aaron to join the team for that specific purpose.
Committing to Bloomsburg was easy, but the transition to college football would pose many difficulties.
My transition from high school to college was tough. Preseason camp my freshman year, you go from being, big fish, small pond to, big pond, small fish at the college level. So I wasn't the guy anymore. There were 2-3 linebackers ahead of me, and that was, and camp was tough. Preseason camp my freshman year, I'd never done anything like that. I mean, this was 3 weeks of football from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. At that point, I was like, do I really love football?
Aaron coming in, think maybe having an identity crisis, coming from a 4-year starter at a smaller school to a big-time program in the Division II level in Bloomsburg. And me having already kind of paved the way of sorts for knowing what it was like getting into a program like this. He did a lot of growing up and understanding it on his own, but having a mentor type figure, whatever I was, 4 years ahead of him, to kind of guide this way and get ready for the next stage.
As Aaron continued with freshman year, his struggles off the field started to pile up.
In high school, I did well academically, but that's not what I was thinking about all day. I was getting my work done, but I was thinking about, Friday nights, Saturday afternoons playing. So when I came to college, I came with that same attitude, and the semester started. I was an exercise science major. My initial goal was to be a college strength conditioning coach. I didn't have the study skills, right? I thought I was just going to kind of cruise by like I did in high school, and that wasn't the case. So the spring of my freshman year, I had like a 2.0 GPA. There were like 2-3 classes that I didn't pass for the major, and so I was looking at having to retake them and maybe even some eligibility issues. And I was just, really not loving football like I had before. So I had no idea, what to do. My whole life, football was kind of like that was my thing. That was my purpose. And I reached a point where, okay, here I'm in college. I'm not the best guy anymore. NFL, probably not likely at the end of the road here. So what do I do now? I was really trying to fight it and find an answer. And then at a certain point, I just kind of decided, just going to let it be what it is, and it'll work out however it does. And so, my parents encouraged me to take some classes in like social work, sociology, psychology. So I did that the fall of my sophomore year, fall of 2018, and it was the intro to social work class that got me. I found, something where like I could help people for a living. And at that point, I found a new purpose beyond football. Up until that point, I only saw myself as a football player. And so when that wasn't going well, I didn't really see myself as much, to be honest. It was really a turning moment for me, And I was just able to flourish from there on out in the social work major. Made Dean's List. Went from a 2.0 to making Dean's List the following semester. So I felt really, really accomplished and really purposeful at that point.
As Aaron's academics and happiness were finally looking up, COVID-19 came crashing down.
COVID definitely, and the pandemic and everything that came with it, definitely impacted the kind of trajectory of my career. Prior to the pandemic, I played my most recent season in 2019, and at that point I was 20 going on 21. My body was a lot fresher, and then in the 2-3 years since the pandemic, at 23 going on 24, I'm not the same as I was physically at 20 going on 21. At that point I was really looking forward to the fall of 2021, ready to start grad school, play my last season. And then the second week of camp, I tore my hamstring, running down a kickoff during practice. And so kind of everything that, I had waited the last really 2 years for since the fall of 2019, kind of just in that moment, done there.
Going through injury, I know that he had a tough time mentally there for a couple of years not being able to play, and loving this game and being able to play it since he was young, it was kind of rough for him.
Aaron's injury left him at a crossroads and with a major decision.
Last fall of 2021, I could have come back, for week 6, 7, 8, somewhere around then, mid-late season. But there were a couple things that influenced my decision there. Part of it was my first semester of grad school. As a grad student, classes are typically, at nighttime because a lot of other grad students are working at least part-time during the week. So on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I was coming to practice for 15, 20 minutes, going through stretch, then I was leaving because I had to get to class. So missing those 2 days of practice during the week, I just didn't feel that I would be set to play on Saturdays. And so that also, influenced my decision. The other part was kind of be able to go out on my own terms and play a full final season. I didn't want to just end on, 4 or 5 games because it meant so much more than that to me. I worked, so hard, worked my whole life to get to this point. So I decided to use my red shirt. I remember the first game of the season last year when, the team went away to Stonehill, and because of COVID restrictions, they could only bring so many players, and so I wasn't able to travel on the bus with the team. And then seeing them roll away without me, that was tough. My teammates could tell that I was struggling with it. They saw how much it meant to me. I was kind of standing there on the sidewalk, and I was choked up. I was teared up. And one of my teammates, Tyshawn Pollard, he saw me out there and he shot me a text and just kind of, said, "Love you, brother." And that, I think that kind of encapsulates what, the support that I had from my teammates.
Seeing him like that is like something that's not really like something that's usual or something that you see that often. So I knew I had to reach out to him and just see how he was doing, send him a message that could encourage him, because I know whenever, he sees me going through anything like that these last couple of years or being injured myself, he was there for me. So I knew that I had to reach out and just give him some type of encouragement, and he really appreciated that.
People look at him and he sacrificed, a great deal to come back. We talk so much in football about mental toughness and those types of things. He's a direct example of those things. Like, it hasn't been easy for Aaron, but he's demonstrated the persistence, the resiliency, of a very special person.
There you go.
Have real high expectations for this season, 2022. And my main goal at that point was just to be able to make it through camp, because I had no idea what was going to happen as far as injuries. Made it through camp, played in my first game in almost 3 years against Stonehill, our first game of the season. From there on out, it's just kind of been, back to normal.
Being able to play this year, you can see just the love for the game, the love for life, and the type of conversations that I've been able to have with him. You just understand his testimony and everything that he's been through. So you can see the growth just, flowing from him.
I think when Aaron came into Bloom, his mindset was, my identity is I'm a football player, and I'm going to come here and do what I do best. And now, looking back 6 years later, football is a layer, but he is so much more well-rounded in other aspects that he's looking to carry forward into the real world in his career.
When you're talking about somebody from a, very special, whether it's been, the on-field things, the mental toughness things, or being able to be an example of how you should go about, living your life as a college student athlete, or overcoming some of the adversities, that you face day in, day out being a college student athlete, and going through some of the trials and tribulations, from a health standpoint, and still being able to play at a high level. When you have a career like that, and Aaron Trumino has done that, you got to tip your hat and say, job well done.
Aaron finished the 2022 season fully healthy and will graduate this December, where he is planning for the future ahead.
Moving forward, I'd like to pursue that passion and pursue that goal of helping people, and specifically helping student athletes. That's kind of been, a theme in my life the past few years, of kind of merging my identity and my experiences as a student athlete. And so being able to, merge the two together and do something that's impactful for student athletes who, may be in similar situations that I was in, kind of struggling, not sure where to go next. I'd say that's my ultimate goal, is to, hopefully have a positive impact on the trajectory of their lives, and, help them to get to a point where, they can be satisfied and content with, where they're at and where they're going.